going to learn about different states of matter. So let's take a look at our agenda and see what we will do in our lesson. So we will read our I can statement together. We will have our lesson. We will do the experiment, and then we'll clean up our experiment, come back to the active board, and then do our little exit ticket. So I want everybody to read this with me. I can be a scientist and do fun experiments to learn that things can be solids and or liquids. Good, okay. So does anybody remember what we read in reading comprehension today? Yes, we read Bartholomew and the oobleck. So we are going to make our very own oobleck. So let's see here. Our oobleck will be white, it won't be green like the story. But something that I want you guys to pay attention to is that it can be a solid or a liquid. Now a solid is anything that you can poke or touch and it doesn't move. It doesn't change its size, it doesn't change its shape, like a ball, right? If you poke it, it won't change its shape. It's still a ball. A notebook, if you move it, it still won't change its shape. It is still a notebook and it still looks just like the way it was before. Same with shoes. Does anybody have another example of a solid? Yes, good, a cup. A cup is a solid. Okay, now a liquid actually does change its size or shape. It does not have a definite size or shape. So if you have water, for example, and you have it in a tall cup, if you pour it into a long bowl, then it's going to change its shape. It's not going to stay the same. It's going to look differently. Same with milk and with juice. Does anybody have another example of a liquid? Yes, good. Very good. Like I said earlier, oobleck can be a solid or a liquid. And we're going to see how it acts like a solid and a liquid. All right, let's start our experiment. Okay, so we will put on our safety glasses because we always want to be safe. And this is what we're gonna do. Everybody see their bowl of cornstarch? Okay, and then we have our cup of water. So whenever I tell you to, I want you guys to slowly pour your water into your cornstarch while you're mixing it. It's very important that you do it at the same time, okay? If you need help, just let me know, okay? So let's go ahead and do that together. Everybody pour your water. I want everybody to put your spoon down, and I want you to slowly swish it around. Okay, so does anybody know what it's acting like? Is it acting like a solid or a liquid? Yes, a liquid. Okay, now I want you to slowly pour it in your cup. Oh. Do you think that's acting like a solid or a liquid? Yes, it is acting like a liquid. Good. Okay, now get a scoop of oobleck in your hand. Okay. And I want you to squeeze it as hard as you can. So how is it behaving in your hand? Does it feel hard? Yeah, it feels like a solid. Now, do balls change their shape? No. So this oobleck is acting like a solid here. But now I want you to let it go, like that. Do you see how it's turning liquidy? Now it's acting like a liquid. Now you guys can play with the oobleck for a minute and then we will clean up. Okay, now I want everybody to put your cup in and your spoon in your bowl. And then I want you to put them in the trash can. And after you're done putting it in the trash can, I'd like you to go wash your hands with some soap and water at the sink, okay? And then come back to the active word whenever you finish. Okay, so now that we're back, let's think about our experiment, okay? So whenever we squeeze the oobleck, did it turn hard? Did it turn like a solid? Yes, so those of you who thought that, you are correct, your hypothesis was correct. And then whenever we let go of that ball, did it turn all liquidy? Yes, okay, so those of you who guessed that that would happen, your hypothesis was correct. Okay, so, like we said, whenever we squeezed it really hard, it made it act like a solid, right? Okay, and then whenever you were playing with it for a minute, what was something else that you did that made it act like a solid? Okay, yes, poking it really quickly. That is something that can make it act like a solid. Okay, what about a liquid? Remember, what was that first thing that I had you guys do that made it act like a liquid? Swishing it around, good. And then, what was another thing that we did that made it act liquidy? Yes, whenever we poured it from the bowl into the cup, yes. Okay, so oobleck can be both a solid and a liquid, which is not normal. Most things are either a solid, and that's just how they are, like a ball or your shoes or a pillow. And then some things can be a liquid, and they are a liquid for the rest of their lives, like water or like milk, juice. They don't change from solid to liquid like oobleck does. So remember, a solid is anything that does not change its shape or size. And then a liquid is anything that does change its shape or size. So I'm gonna hand you guys a Post-it note, and on the front of the Post-it note, you are going to draw a picture of something that is a solid. And then on the back of the Post-it note, you're gonna draw a picture of something that is a liquid. So whenever you're finished, I want you to stick it on the door where your name is.